And as you can see, 19,240 lines of code later and 250 commits later, I'm happy to announce the launch of my ninth project in my 1550 challenge. If you're watching me for the first time ever, I'm LJ, and this year I've committed to release 50 projects in 50 weeks, and they are to be built exclusively using AI tools. So as usual, every week I go a little bit into why I decided to build a particular project, how does it work, where I kind of both read a little bit about the process and then showcase a real live demo, the tech stack that was used to build, things that I've done for the first time ever, and those that I would like to continue to improve, challenges that I faced during the build, and then I give myself a final score for the project. So the number one reason which motivated me to build this app is that for around a year now, I've been obsessing uh, around this notion of understanding in the company where I work at, Citizenshipper, where do we rank in top three, in which geographies, right? Without necessarily being there, right? For relevant keywords. Decoding this manually is not that difficult. There's a couple of parameters that you would need to set in your URL, but doing that to figure out how do you rank across 500 different cities and 10, 15, 20, 20 keywords is a bit of a work, right? So I was always trying to build an app or thought about like how cool it would be to build an app that would automate this. And little did I know that I was actually able to do this with AI within a couple of days. Um, the app is itself, as you will see in a second, is super simple. It's automated to a point where you just enter keywords, anything what a customer would search for, target location, city and state combination. Then you just click to search for ranking to start an automated search, and the results just get processed automatically. You are also in this current version prompted to manually verify, because this is the first version of the app. This is an alpha pretty much. So I do want to get user feedback here to understand whether their search queries and their positioning were correct. So for the purpose of testing the app, let's just head over to the landing page. Not fully optimized or something that I necessarily focused on designing in particular, but a user would come in, they would be prompted to sign in or sign up. Once they sign in, the app switches over to home and just explain you how it works. Again, enter search, start running the search, and then view your ranking and the results. These are some of the things we're going to talk about later that I'm trying to enhance and improve the app on, but let's just get started right now. So like if you were a regular user, you would come to this place. And again, because Citizenshipper is a leading pet transportation company, we're going to search for a relevant keyword in that domain. Um, and we're going to do that in a particular city. So let's just do it in Miami, for example. As you can see there, because the app is still like in alpha, I'm doing certain validations. So it's very important that a new user would type in a valid city, meaning any big US city will be inside there, but like it's very relevant because of a couple of things and the way the system verifies the actual positioning. So as I said, there's a manual fallback mechanism which can be opened by clicking on the open URL search. So as you can see here, we are ranked number one in Miami. I don't live in Miami. I'm not in Miami. The system switched my location as if I were in Miami, which is the whole goal of the tool. Now, I could have done so manually. This is not a secret thing, right? But doing it automatically is what was challenging to me during this build because of a couple of different reasons. Main reason being the fact that Google does not, believe it or not, does not want you to automate this. Google wants you to pay ads, obviously, and brute force your way into knowing what your position is versus returning your position using their particular API. So during the build itself, I first tried naively for a couple of days to integrate Google, and then eventually by doing research, which is what I'm going to touch upon in a second, realize that that's impossible. However, I found an alternative that, as you can see, automatically fetched the fact that we are number one. And then I can always verify that by clicking on this button right here, which is the view results, and allowing the app to populate all first 10. And as you can see, the result in our case completely matches the manual search that I've got. Now, bear in mind, every browser is different. Every user phone is different. Like the API that I'm using, which I will explain in the tech stack itself, is trying to clean all of that off and just gives you a very neutral type of search. Obviously, based on your search history, you may get different results. But in essence, if everything is clean, if the user is not logged in, if they're using a fresh device, fresh browser, these are the results that they would be getting. Now, you as the owner of this business can save this search for future reference. You can recheck it automatically with a single click of a button. You can edit your ranking, which, for instance, I've done in the past. Like, for instance, I ran this search for boat transport. We also do that at Citizen Shipper. And then basically the automated search came up as ops being placed at fourth place, and I found it to actually be place number 5. So I've corrected the position manually, right? I would just click on edit ranking, select 5, and then put a note that I did this in Firefox as the browser. So it wasn't Chrome, but Firefox, right? Now, I envision that this may be also used by agencies, which is why I've created the ability for anybody to add an additional business. Like, I have one business here, but I can just click here and basically add a business name and the website. And the system always it tries to get this site URL and fetch it so that it can backtrack your ranking. So depending on the URL that you provided with, you can figure out the rank, which again can help you even analyze your competitors as well, which is something that I plan to also integrate into the app. I'm also still working, like, because the core functionality took a little bit longer to build. So I'm still working on things such as historical trends, filtering, obviously based on the search locations and different types of keywords. There's a couple of bugs there, as you saw. And I want to build way better reporting abilities and capabilities of the tool. The settings is, pretty straightforward, as you can see: profile security, email, deleting your account, and stuff like that. But the core of the app, the meat of the app, which is getting your search results as if you were in the location, definitely works. It's been brute tested against various different keywords and various different categories, and the results are as close as it gets to manual search, which I think is amazing because it saves the users a ton of time. To bring this to life, I used pretty similar tech stack as usual with a couple of new ones. So Lovable and Supabase, again, front and back end solutions. I found that Data for SEO API is the most reliable API to provide you with SERP results that are as close as manual as it gets. So I was able to integrate it successfully. I had to use Replit this time around as well, because I needed to build some logic and build my own JSON files, which is something that I've never done before. But Replit's really good at like processing prompts like these into building like complex data sets very fast. Obviously, I deployed the app again using Vercel and used 21st Dev for design templates. This is designed to be a web app, but primarily to be used on desktop. You can try to use it on smaller devices, but if we go back here, I mean, this is a lot of information. This is just a ton of info that, like, if we were to, let's say, just switch over here, just look at this on mobile. I mean, it's just a lot of text for someone to be processing as a piece of information on a mobile device, I feel. And then let's talk a little bit about the things that I did for the first time ever. So again, as mentioned, I use Replit to not just create a JSON file, but I actually understood what was happening along the way. Maybe this is going to be funny to some people, but you can laugh all you want. I've never done that before. And it's an amazing thing to have AI help you with this type of stuff. I tried to use Google Places API, custom search API, and they both worked. Like in the sense that, like I was able to make them work, but the results were nowhere near the manual search. Which again, after doing some research and some reading, um, I found out that Google's actually not great at that information, not that transparent, which brings me back to the tip of the week that I forgot to mention here. And that is my advice for anybody on a paid plan, on whether that's Perplexity or ChatGPT or whatever it is that you use deep research, especially to explore which APIs can help you get what you want. Don't brute force or go with the first solution in the world. Just talk to ChatGPT, get it to do a deep research, deep dive on the topic that you wanted, and have it help you choose the right stack to use. Um, I also, again, made a mistake of like not being um, faithful to my ideas. I tried to build two things prior to this app and had to, again, pivot, which was pretty hectic. And again, as mentioned, Data for SEO API was another new thing that I used. One cool thing that they had is like they had their own AI chat, and I had Lovable. So I was having them ask each other and talk to one another pretty much. I was the proxy. They're just copy pasting the messages. And that way I was able to pretty much come up with a pretty accurate implementation. I think it took me just a couple of tries and the API worked, which again is super amazing. Um, I personally love this app, love this topic, love SEO in general, and this project's been a passion thing of mine. So I'm really eager to continue working on it. I want to make reporting better. I want to enable bulk action so that with one click you can run all of your state searches. I want to build a much better UI. I want to introduce mapping so that you can actually see your ranking visually across the map. Um, I need to improve filtering of the results, and start, kind of allowing users to also track their competitors potentially using this app. And then finally add an AI bot that would give users tips on how to improve their rankings if they do not rank in top 3 or top 10. And then once all of this is added, I definitely, for this app, plan to introduce a paid plan, because I'm pretty sure I can monetize it at that point. Even if it's like $1 a month, it's still monetizable. Um, Now, as for the challenges, I mean, again, because of the pivots that I did were the biggest challenge, right? First of all, I decided to build an app, which I did not want to build at this time, but I kind of, for some reason, started it. I tried to do it again using Create, but I wasted a whole day and still didn't get anything done. I don't think I'm gonna uh, make this tool work for me, unfortunately. The second app was kind of a um, pivot because even though I wanted to build this one, I thought it's going to be too complex. So I started to build something simple, but it failed very miserably, even though the project wasn't that complex. So I was just like, okay, screw it. I'm just going to do what I wanted to do and build the local rank tool. But then I had a lot of problems because of my assumption that I'm supposed to rely on Google and then supposed to rely on scraping. Neither of the two are the model. So I learned again through this challenge that I really need to do more research before diving in headfirst and making assumptions about things. Um, for this week, my final score is a pure 10 out of 10 because the app works exactly what I wanted to do. And I'm giving myself a 10 here because this is a dream app that I want to build. Like, even though it's not perfect, it's just right. And to me, it's just amazing that I was able to build this. It's beyond imaginable considering that I was looking for an app to even use for this use case, not to mention building it, right? The landing page, the design itself is about 6 out of 10. I did a little bit of work, but nothing that would get it to a level where I think it looks representable. Um, I advise you to check out your local rankings at local SEO rank.app while it's free. And Until next Saturday, keep shipping, guys.